Hello and welcome back to Strength for Tomorrow Radio. My name's Stuart Thompson. It's been a while. We're back and today I want to talk about something that struck me recently from conversations that I've had with people, but also I turned 38 a few weeks back. So the topic is this: why do so many people feel absolutely broken after age 40 or 45 or 50 or maybe even 35? I know I've been certainly feeling it in the last couple of years. My body's just changing, and for no particular reason. It's not like I'm doing much different that I can sense or feel. But we're going to jump into that topic. We're going to really get deep into it, and this is maybe something that resonates with you. I know it certainly is something that resonates with a lot of our clients. So why do so many adults feel stiff, weak, tired, maybe getting overweight, sore all the time, unfit, and just generally that their body is starting to betray them and let them down? It's not feeling like themselves. You hear it all the time. People say things like, I'm just getting old, my back's always sore, I've no energy, my knees are done, I'm just not feeling very fit. Sure, that's what happens when you get older. All of those are phrases you probably hear every day, if not every week. And yes, aging is real. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that the world doesn't keep turning and that we don't keep getting on. Being 45 is not the same as being 18, but I do think a lot of people have accepted this idea and this version of aging that is far worse than it needs to be. I think we almost expect less of ourselves too soon, and a lot of people start feeling that weakness, that low level of fitness, low energy, weight gain, maybe bad sleep, constant aches and pains, as if it is just normal and it's unavoidable. And that's the key thing. Is it unavoidable as we get older? That's something we want to think about. In many cases, I don't think it is. I think it has to do with our habits. It has to do with our lifestyle. And the thing about habits is they don't happen all at once. They are built over time. They're built up slowly. And it's not just because you've spent so many days on Earth. It's a result of things like muscle loss, maybe years of inactivity, sitting at a desk, poor sleep, too much sitting all the time, not doing enough strength work, eating too much processed food. How many of us can resonate with that? Too much stress, whether it's family stress, work stress, news stress. We're constantly inundated with news of things that are happening in all sorts of places all over the world, and we're supposed to just stop and pay attention to all these things. And I think that leads to lots of different types of stress in our bodies, and chronic stress being one of those. I don't think we fully figure out how to deal with it. You're just constantly bombarded with a news cycle, aren't you? And things that you have to stress about, but you can't do anything about. And usually following terrible fitness advice for years. If you've been on Instagram, if you've been on Facebook, if you've been on any social media over the last 10, 20 years, you're going to have heard all sorts of things. You're going to have heard the full spectrum probably of fitness advice, from yoga's good to yoga's bad to strength training's dangerous to strength training's the best thing ever. So that's what we want to get into today. Why do so many adults feel broken after 40? What's actually going on? What are we getting wrong? And more importantly, how can we get strong again? Because that's the good news. That's what we want to end on. That's what we want to focus on. For a lot of people, you are not finished. You're not too old. I want to stress that. You're not beyond help, or not just worn out. I recently had a couple of people in their 70s, late 70s to start training with me. And it's been amazing for 4, 5, 6 weeks to see the progress that they have made from not being able to sit down unaided by their arms to be able to squat with a little bit of a weight, and building up that mobility and be able to squat deeper than many 20, 30-year-olds that I train. And I've seen squatting. Shout out to High Rocks. I'm just kidding. Lots of people don't squat to depth, but High Rocks is just captured on camera a lot of the time. Anyway, you're probably just under-muscled. You're probably maybe haven't had any coaching. Maybe you are under-recovered. You don't realise the importance of recovery yet. That's absolutely fine. And you're probably under-challenged. You're probably not challenging your body enough. You've probably stopped challenging your body because you think, well, I'm over 40 now. I need to start taking it easy. Also, just putting your kids and things like that first. That's another big area that sometimes we don't want to talk about, but a lot of parents will put themselves last. They'll put themselves way down the pecking order, especially mums, and they won't take care of themselves because they feel out of obligation that they need to put their kids first and put their husband first, or their family first. And that leads to a lot of these things as well, sadly. But a lot of these things can be changed, and thankfully there's some great trainers out there and some great gyms out there who are catering for this now and who sense this and understand this. So we're going to break it into different parts. Part one, why people feel so bad so early. Lots and lots of adults start declining far earlier than they should. And I don't just mean athletically. I mean in everyday life. You've got people in their late 30s, early 40s acting like they're ancient, acting like they're frail, decrepit, and they're about to snap. They can't get on the floor comfortably. They avoid stairs. Maybe they don't say that out loud, but they'll avoid stairs. They'll take the lift. They'll park as close as they can. They've no upper body strength. They can't push themselves up and down off the floor. They struggle maybe lifting shopping bags into the car, carrying their kids. They feel nervous about it. They've developed a little bit of a shuffle where they look like they're trying not to annoy their knees, and they just take little small steps. And somehow this has all been normalised as part of aging, the aging process, as if the human body's designed to start sort of packing itself up halfway through life, when you get to 40 or 50. And I think it's nonsense. It's upsetting to watch, actually, being a 38-year-old now as I approach 40. Now, obviously, sometimes there are genuine medical issues. There are accidents that happen. There are orthopedic calamities that happen. Chronic conditions, surgeries. There's things outside of your control. Granted, okay? That aside, I'm not dismissing any of that, but what I'm saying is, for many adults, the issue is not that they are old. It's not that they have spent so long on planet Earth that this is just the way they are now. The issue is that their body has been deconditioned for years. And I want to make a point as well. That was one of the things about COVID that people said quite early on, and still make the point that COVID hit older people harder. Now, I always push back on that and say, is it that they were older or that they have spent more time abusing their body on Earth? So what I mean by that is all of these things we're talking about. So not basic maintenance, not metabolic conditioning, not strength work, just eating too much processed food, ultra processed foods, sugars, added sugars, all of those things. If you do all those things, there's a process known as glycation which occurs. And whenever something like COVID comes along, or another illness, virus, whatever, your body is not going to be able to react to that as favorably as if you were taking care of yourself. And that's not to say there were certain conditions, certain situations where some people were hit harder than others, potentially outside of their control. I just haven't heard of them, okay? There's a lot of things that were put down to, that's just because they were older. It hit older people harder. And I don't think that's accurate. I think that's a misrepresentation. I think the longer we spend on Earth, the more time we have to abuse our bodies. That's maybe a harsh take, but there you go. But as I said, I'm not dismissing that there's things outside of our control. There's a lot inside of our control, and if we just worried about what was inside our control and forgot about what it was outside of our control, I think we'd be in a lot better shape. I think we'd be in a lot better a place. What I am saying is, for many, many adults, the issue is not that they're old. It's not that they've spent too many days where the Earth has gone around the sun. The issue is that their body has been deconditioned for years, and that's totally different. Aging is real. Yes, your body does change over time. I think that's pretty obvious. But deconditioning is real too, and that's something that happens earlier than I think it should. They're not the same thing. A lot of people are living in bodies that have become weaker, stiffer, heavier, less mobile, more body fat, less muscle, less coordinated, and they're less resilient because they've stopped doing the things that human bodies need. Human bodies need to work. Human bodies were designed to work. There's a Mark Ripito quote. I love quoting Mark Ripito, but he says humans are not physically normal in the absence of hard physical effort. And that's so true. Humans adapt. We adapt to hardship. Comfort is the enemy. Comfort will make you dead. Okay? Very, very quickly. It wants you dead. And the scary part is this decline can sneak up on you. It's not dramatic. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't just wake up one day. It's gradual. It's a slow burning candle. It'll burn right down. You stop training properly. You stop training consistently. You sit more. You sleep less. You eat more convenience food. You get busier. You get more stressed. You lose a bit of muscle. Maybe you gain some fat. You become slightly less active. You become slightly more tired. Become slightly less bothered. You get slightly more stressed, or a lot more stressed. And you don't recover. And how do you deal with that? You move less. And it's a vicious cycle then. And then before you know it, you wake up one day and go, how did I get here? You feel less comfortable in your own skin. You feel embarrassed by how unfit you are. and you avoid things that you used to be able to do, and you start saying things like, sure, I'm getting older. But a lot of the time what you're really seeing is the compounded effect of years of neglect. It's not because you're lazy. It's not because you're stupid. If I had to wager a bet, I'd say you're more if you're listening to this, you're more intelligent than I am. Just because life, and that's not saying much, life gets in the way. Most people were never taught what actually matters when it comes to physicality and looking after their body. The biggest reasons adults feel broken when we get over 40, 50, whatever, let's talk about why this happens. Because it isn't just one cause. Sometimes we like to simplify things and say, this X happened because of Y. It's usually a pile-up of things. Number one, you lose muscle. Okay, unless you're training your body, you will lose muscle. This is one of the biggest ones. Quite often, and I hear this so every week, if not every day, somebody will say, I do a lot of walking, but I feel like I'm losing strength. And I think we have been so trained in our society to believe and understand that walking equals strength. Now, walking is fantastic. Walking is the default mode of transport for humans. Has been since the dawn of time. And what's the alternative? Crawling? I don't know. Handstand walking? I don't know. But it's a great activity. But I think it's the baseline. It's the very, very least we can do. The old 10,000 steps a day thing. That was made up part of propaganda. Getting propaganda in Japan, I think, to get people moving more. And 10,000 happened to be a nice round number. Walking is fantastic. Walking is amazing for your metabolism. It is amazing for just kind of staying where you are. But it does not build strength, it does not maintain strength, and it does not improve bone density or muscle mass. Even though you're using your legs, somebody said that to me the other day, sure, if you walk, I'll keep the strength in your legs. It doesn't keep the strength in your legs. You will lose strength. I don't care if you're hill walking. I don't care if you are abseiling down a wall. I don't care if you're whatever you're doing, if you're walking up hills, walking is not enough to preserve and preserve muscle and prevent sarcopenia, which is muscle loss. Muscle is one of the most important things you have when it comes to a capable, independent, and healthy and robust body as you get older. Muscle will help you move better. It'll stay strong. It'll help you stay stronger. It'll protect your joints. It improves your posture. It improves your metabolism. It improves your blood sugar regulation. It reduces frailty. It helps you stay independent later in life. And yet loads and loads of adults go through decades without doing anything to preserve it or look after it. They might walk. You might do a wee class the odd time. You might get sweaty now and again. But you never actually train the way that makes you stronger and progressively stronger. So what happens? Well, you become gradually weaker. And weakness is the enemy. Again, another great Mark Rippertoe quote is, strong people, I'm going to butcher it actually, there's a better one than that actually. Humans, strength is the most important thing in life, and that's true whether we want it to be or not. And that seems quite offensive to some people because like, well, intellect's really important, or being kind's really important, or da-da-da-da. You can list lots of things and argue it. But what he's saying is, strength is how you interact with your physical environment. So, if you are not strong enough, if you lose strength, you can't get out of bed, you can't move your body. And guess what? The kindest person in the world, if they basically can't communicate because the muscles in their face don't even let them, you're just lying there like an inanimate object, then it's really hard to be kind. It's really hard to be brilliant intellectually because you can't express it because you don't have the muscle. So that's what he means. Okay? Hopefully that's clear. That one always gets pushed back, and I pushed back against it until I understood what he actually meant by it. But whenever you're weak, things feel heavier, joints feel less supported, joints feel sore, tasks feel more difficult than they should, your confidence drops in your body, your energy gets lower, and your resilience drops. So a cold will come and knock you out. COVID will come and knock you out. And because it happens slowly, people don't recognize it as weakness. They just call it, it's getting older. It's just getting older. But weakness and aging are not the same thing. Another symptom or another byproduct is they will sit for most of the day. Human beings were not designed to sit in a chair, hold themselves in half at a desk, stare at a screen, sit at 90 degrees at their ankles, their knees, their hips, and their elbows for 8 hours a day. And then go home, sit on the sofa, or drive home, sit at 90 degrees again, and then lie up on the sofa for the rest of the evening. Yet, this is how many adults live. Sit on their drive to work. They sit in work. They sit to eat. They sit to relax. Then they sit to watch television, and then they wonder why their hips are stiff, their back is sore, and their body feels like a rusty old shopping trolley the dodgy wheel. Of course it does. You're gonna feel that way if you never move your joints through range of motion. You're asking a body that was designed for movement to behave well while being treated like you're just kicking it around the place. You're neglecting it. Movement matters, not just exercise, movement. So walking, getting up and down, changing position, those things are important. Getting up and down, carrying things, reaching, squatting, twisting, turning, pushing things away from you, pulling things towards you, picking things up, using your body. A lot of people train for 1 hour, maybe 2-3 times a week, but live like a statue the rest of the time, and that matters. So that's why mobility is so important. That's one of the big things we try to focus on here, and to get you doing in the gym, but even better outside of the gym, so you're not spending gym time doing mobility. If you're doing it outside of the gym, you don't need as much preparation for lifting. Another big one is eating like an idiot, or eating like an overgrown toddler, eating like a baby. And I'm not trying to be crueler, but that is true. So many adults are under eating protein. They're overeating ultra processed food, drinking too much alcohol, and living on convenience food, grabbing sugar for energy, grabbing breakfast bars, eating cereal full of sugar, and wondering why they feel like a bin lorry has run them over. Your body is made from what you feed it. You can't build a house without the raw materials, and if you give a builder some crappy raw materials, you're going to get a really terrible quality house. And it's probably going to still go for like, a few $100,000 now with the state of the economy at the minute. And if you spend years running on toast, cereal bars, cereal, takeaways, alcohol, and whatever's in the petrol station, don't be shocked whenever you feel really, really terrible. You can't out-train bad nutrition forever. Yes, you can get away with it if it's a once-off, now and again. I'm not encouraging that, because I don't think you should argue your limitations. If you can avoid that, then that's really important. And you definitely can't recover if you're applying stress, so like a stressful gym activity. You definitely can't recover whenever your body's constantly undernourished and inflamed. If you've got inflammation throughout your body, you've got glycation going on, it's not going to work. Something's going to give. A lot of people don't need some fancy biohacking protocol. If you put on Instagram or probably TikTok or any of those things, you're going to find some sort of biohack, something that's really, really niche, and it makes a 0.1% difference in your overall health, but it's treated like as if it's the most important thing in the world. They need to eat like an adult. More protein, more real food, more fruit and vegetables, more decent meals, home-cooked meals, less nonsense. That alone would change so much for most of society. And talk about the NHS being under pressure, but talk about the NHS being underfunded. I don't think it's underfunded, if you want my personal opinion. I think it's overfunded. I think it's highly inefficient. But again, another topic. If you want to take it up, we can go into that at another stage. But if we just focused on those things, I think society's health would be transformed. I think it would be so different. But it starts at home. It starts with what we're doing every day. Another problem is not sleeping properly, not getting enough sleep and not getting quality sleep. It's one of those areas where people love to ignore until it starts wrecking them, and they love to spend hundreds of pounds on supplements whenever sleep would fix most of the problems that they're trying to solve with supplements. It affects your energy levels, your recovery ability, your appetite the following day, your mood, your willpower, even your pain perception, how you process pain. Pain is heightened whenever you're underslept. Even hormone regulation, so your hunger hormones, leptin and ghrelin, your hunger hormones, and your satiety hormones, performance as well, so what you're doing in the gym, and your body composition, so your levels of muscle mass and your fat mass. And then we wonder why we can't lose weight, we don't feel like training, we don't have motivation, we feel a little bit snappy and a little bit off with our family or friends or colleagues, crave sugar, and then we've got no patience, and we're just like, why? It's because we're knackered. It's because we're not getting proper sleep, we're not going to bed early enough, and we're waking up either too early, or we're browsing on our phones, or we're staying up watching Netflix. Whatever it is, that's one of the biggest areas I would say to fix and to address. Most of us don't want to recognize it, and most of us don't want to recognize how important it is. And again, a lot of us try to normalize it. I'm just tired all the time. Well, that's just life. Sure, everyone's exhausted. We're all in the same boat. Right? Misery loves company. But that doesn't make it okay, it doesn't make it good, and it doesn't make it that it should be encouraged. If you constantly sleep badly, your body will feel worse. Your brain will work like underperform. Your appetite regulation will be worse, so you're going to feel hungry when you shouldn't feel hungry, and your perception of pain, so if you've got aches and pains like backache, it's going to feel even worse if you're not sleeping properly. Your motivation will also be worse the next day. If you're sleepy, training's the last thing you're going to want, and then you're trying to solve everything else on top of that, so all of your symptoms, all of your problems start to feel worse with the lack of sleep. Number 5, maybe you followed really terrible fitness advice. This is a massive one. So lots of adults have spent years believing that exercise means punishing yourself, sweating the bit out, burning calories, getting out of breath, doing random circuits, and just smashing yourself into the ground in classes, trying to tone up, doing little pink dumbbell curls, running even though you hate it, like just running yourself into the ground, more miles, need to run more, need to do more activity, need to do more. Doing workouts that leave you destroyed and not improved. There's no focus with it, there's no intention with it, and you're just beating yourself into the ground, and then it really affects your recovery, and it nearly leaves you worse off than where you were. And then when that stops working, your back starts playing up, maybe your knees start to get a bit achy, your hip starts to play up, and you're seeing that exercise just isn't for them and they need to do less. Is it that you need to do less, or you need to be more strategic in what you do? That would be my question. The truth is, a lot of them are never doing the right thing in the first place. If that's you, because exercise, it's not automatically good just because it makes you sweaty. Sweating is healthy in most cases, but the means by which you get there might not be orthopedically excellent. And there's a big difference between activity and training. And that's one of the big issues with, I suppose, the NHS and doctors' guidance is you need to be more active. And leisure centres will tell you need to be more active. Very few people mention training, and that's a problem. Activity's fine. I think training lets you do more activity, but training is better. Training, there's a purpose. With training, there's a progression, there's a structure, there's a method, there's a clear pathway with training. Activity, you don't get that. And for most adults, one of the biggest missing pieces is strength training. Instead of chaos, instead of randomness, instead of punishment, proper strength training. Strength training actually gets you stronger, which is the definition of strength training, by the way. The other big one that we don't want to talk about is stress. Stress is absolutely frying society. It's frying us. This is the bit that gets left out. Loads and loads of adults are trying to function under ridiculous levels of stress, whether it's from work, from family, money stress, relationship stress, sleep deprivation, decision fatigue. We're bombarded with making decisions every day. Constant distraction from our phones and social media and notifications. Bad news just getting pumped into our brains every single day, and no real downtime. We're getting inundated with all that stuff all the time, right? And what do most people do whenever they're stressed? They stop training, they'll eat worse, they'll sleep worse, and they'll probably drink more, they'll probably move less, and they'll feel even worse. The problem with stress as well is that it doesn't just affect your mood, it affects your choices, your consistency, your recovery, your inflammation, even your patience, and your energy levels as well. Over time, this takes a massive toll on us, and it starts to... Camera just disconnected there. We're back. Not sure what happened. Anyway, part 3, some of the lies that we believe. Now it's time to get into those things, because there are so many lies and we don't even realise that we're being lied to a lot of the time. Because the story someone believes about themselves is often the thing that will stop them from changing. What you believe is how you're going to act. It's going to reflect that, and it's going to happen. The first lie is, I'm just getting older. This one drives me mad, because yes, age matters, as we've said, but lots of people say this when what they really mean is, I just haven't looked after myself, or I've lost strength, or I've gained weight, I'm unfit, I'm sleeping badly, I've poor eating structure, or I've no structure. And at least whenever we say those things, we don't want to say them, but whenever we say them, at least we are being more honest about things, and there's a path forward. There's a solution that we can jump into. And all those things aren't the same as just getting old. That can be true whether you're in your 20s or whether in your 70s. I know some 70-year-olds who are stronger, more vibrant, and have more energy than some 20 or 30-year-olds. And I'm not even that's not even hyperbole, I'm not even joking when I say that. And then, so, age is part of the picture, but it's not the full explanation. That's probably the easiest way to say it. Second lie is I just need to get fit before I join the gym. This is another one that does my head in. This is like saying you need to clean your house before you get a cleaner in, or you need to clean yourself before you get in the shower. The gym is where you go to get fitter. That's the point. We're here to help you. We are here to improve your fitness faster than you could do on your own, to save you time, to save you energy, and to save you effort. You don't need to arrive already capable. Come with what you've got, and we'll present you with a path forward, and we'll take you one session at a time. You don't need to lose weight first. You don't need to know what you're doing. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you to figure out what to do, and then to replicate it, and to get stronger, to get fitter, and to improve all of those other problems that we talked about already. A good environment helps. If you have a good environment, if you have the right environment of people around you, right coaching, a good starting point, one that's not doesn't have too many expectations of you, that's all you need. Third eye is my knee or back or shoulders mean I shouldn't lift weights. Now, context obviously matters, but there are so many cases where people need proper medical input, rehab, or even a plan that's modified to work around those sorts of things. But in general, the idea that aches and pains means you should never strength train is completely backwards. Strength training is rehabilitation. If you ever go to a physiotherapist, right, and they don't have a squat rack or they don't have weights in the room, I would probably get a new physio, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not even joking. Long gone are the days where you go into a physio and they'll basically just give you they'll rub some cream on it and tell you to be on your merry way. That's not acceptable. And there are some fantastic physios out there in which we will recommend to you if you need anything. That's a big red flag for me. If you go into a physio's room and they don't have any weight training equipment whatsoever. Strength training is rehabilitation training. The expertise is how the physio presents it and applies it to your situation. But in many cases, the reason things hurt is because something is weak, something is underdeveloped, something is unstable, poorly controlled, badly conditioned, or detrained. And that doesn't mean you go in and act an idiot with a barbell with no coaching and just expect everything to be okay. That does mean that avoiding all resistance training forever is probably not going to be the answer. That used to be the common advice with back pain. Just rest it. Just go and rest it. Have a wee rest. Bye. That's not good advice anymore. Like, there's not very many physios that's their first protocol when it comes to a back issue. It's trying to get people moving, keep them moving, and manage it, and give them the right exercises and the right strengthening protocols to be able to overcome that and reduce the pain sensation that they're feeling. Very often what people need is the right type of loading. So the right exercise selection, the right progression, and the right coaching, not permanent fragility or feeling incapable. And fourth eye, walking is enough. I've said this already, but now people really lose the plot. Walking is great. I'm not slating walking. I like walking. I walk every day. I walk not lots of I'm not a massive hiker kind of walker. I don't have the time. I don't think it's the most efficient way to be fitter, but it's certainly a good baseline. Most people should walk more. That's the other thing that's worth saying. You should walk more probably. But walking is not enough on its own if your goal is to stay strong or get strong, become resilient and capable as you age. Walking does not build strength. It does not maintain muscle. It does not do anything for bone density. It does not challenge your upper body at all. It does not progressively overload you in a way that strength training does. So yes, do your walking, but don't confuse walking with being the only thing you need. The amount of times I've heard clients say, I thought walking was enough until I started doing this, and now I realise that my legs were actually really weak, or it hasn't done anything for my bone density because I walked every day and I've got osteoporosis now. Number 5, I just need more motivation. You probably don't. Motivation is wildly overrated. Motivation is a fleeting little thought in our head. Motivation is nice when it's there, but it's unreliable. What most adults need is clarity, structure, support, accountability, and a plan that fits their life. Something that can give you an early win. Something that will give you, sends that signal and says, I can do this. Consistency, that's what you need. Motivation increases when you take action. That's the other really understated point. Most people, once they start feeling better, they start moving better, getting stronger, motivation then follows. Once you see the product of your efforts, it's easy to become motivated. Waiting to feel motivated like a lightning bolt hitting you, this is one of the best ways to remain exactly where you are or go downhill further. So part 4, what actually works? Got an itchy nose this morning. My nan used to say that means I'm ready to fight. I don't know where these things come from, but there's nobody even in the room here, so I don't know who I'm going to fight with. Right, so if people feel broken, weak, stiff, fed up, what actually happens? Let's keep it simple, because people don't need more complication in their lives. Everything's so complicated out there. You basically would need the basics and done consistently. If you just stuck to the basics and did them consistently, you'd be in some shape. Number one, strength training regularly. This is the big one. If you want to get strong again, feel better, protect your joints, improve your body composition, stay capable as you get older, then strength training needs to be in the plan. Not someday, not occasionally, regularly. Okay? For most adults, even 2 to 4 strength sessions every week is a really, really good strength plan, because it's going to make the biggest difference. Whenever I say strength training, I mean training that includes movements like squatting, hinging, pushing things away, pulling things towards you, carrying things, getting up and down off the floor, using your whole body with resistance gradually applied to you. It doesn't have to look fancy, doesn't need circus tricks, and it doesn't need to leave you crawling out your car and then lying there and say, I want to die. You don't need to do that. It needs to be appropriate for you, it needs to be progressive, and it needs to be coached well, paying attention to the details. So all of those things I've listed there, they're basic human movement patterns. They're things that our body is able and designed to do. Number 2, build muscle on purpose, not by accident. A lot of people think that muscle is only for bodybuilders. You know, guys in string vests, or people who spend all day looking at themselves in the mirror and getting tanned up and waxed down and all the rest of it. It's not true. Everybody needs muscle. Muscle is your insurance policy against aging. Muscle helps you stay independent, helps you tolerate life better, helps you recover better, helps you handle everyday physical tasks so much easier as well. It also keeps your metabolism healthier. Muscle mass is a sign of a healthy metabolism. It also helps you deal with sugar better. Your body will process sugar better if you've got more muscle. So that's why you'll see people out there going, why does so-and-so, they can eat whatever they want and they never put on any fat, and I eat a little bit and I just have to think about it, and then I put on lots of weight. The reason is probably they have more muscle mass than you. If I had a mad guess, okay, in the first place. Now obviously genetics play a certain role, but don't discount that, because that's a massive factor. It'll also help you stay more robust and after illness or injury. It'll help you overcome illness, and it'll help you prevent illness a lot better. If you're an adult and you want to age well, building and maintaining muscle mass should be important to you. And it's not because you want to become Mr. Universe, just because you'd like to keep functioning. If you eat more protein, more real food, again, it's not revolutionary, just effective. Most adults would benefit from eating protein at every meal, building meals around real food, reducing added sugar, reducing liquid calories, reducing alcohol, and planning food a bit better instead of winging it all day. You don't need like a celebrity detox tea. You don't need some magical powder from the internet, and you don't need a 14-day starvation challenge. You probably need the basics. You probably need eggs, meat, fish, Greek yogurt, potatoes, fruit, veg, rice, dairy, decent meals, and just less rubbish, less ultra-processed foods. And that might sound boring, but it's so effective. You don't have to think of a new meal or a new plan every single day. And sleeping really, really matters as well. Where I talked about it, because it's so important. A lot of adults treat sleep like a luxury and then wonder why they feel like death warmed up. Your sleep routine might not be perfect. If you've got kids, that's probably one of the big reasons. Life happens. Shift work happens. But many people can still improve sleep hygiene just by doing some simple things. Going to bed at a more consistent time, reducing your screen exposure late at night, cutting down on your alcohol intake as well, reducing it, cutting down on your caffeine, limiting alcohol, try and get rid of it if you can, getting some sunlight in early in the day to get some exposure to that to help keep your circadian rhythm in check, and keeping the room cool and dark, and creating just a better wind down routine. If your sleep improves, loads of other things become easier. Number 5, moving daily. You don't need to train really, really hard every single day, but you do need to move. So things like mobility, walking, as we said, is really good. Carrying things, taking the stairs, just standing up more, stretching, mobilizing your joints, and getting outside more. If you do something physical beyond your sessions in the gym, that's even better. You want to use your fitness, you want to use your strength to be able to produce something effective outside. Your body loves regular movement. It hates being parked up. Your body is a living organism that's designed to move and mobilize and use itself. Number 6, stop trying to wreck yourself. More is not always better. This is a massive one, especially for people who think that every workout needs to feel like punishment. A good training plan should make you better, not just more exhausted. You don't need to finish every session lying on the floor questioning your life choices and seeing your soul leave your body. You don't need to chase soreness. You don't need to feel wrecked or to feel successful. Sometimes the best training is the kind that you actually recover from and then repeat consistently. And that happens slowly. It takes time. Number 7, get coached. This is one of the most underrated shortcuts because most people don't fail from a lack of effort. They fail because they don't know what to do, second guess themselves, they keep chopping and changing plans, they go too hard, or they don't stay consistent. Whenever you get good coaching, it helps you stay safe for a start, which is important because if you're dead, it's really hard to train then. Helps you progress properly, helps you avoid silly mistakes and adapt around injuries or limitations. So there's always little niggles and things. We all have those previous injuries or an injury history that we need to overcome and work around. Also helps you stay accountable. Having someone there. I heard someone once say that if you're rowing on the row machine and your dog comes over and looks at the monitor, suddenly you start rowing faster. So like even that layer of accountability helps. It also helps you build confidence. So you can focus on what really matters, on the main things, on the basic things, but doing them consistently. A good coach won't just give you exercise. A good coach helps you stop wasting years and makes the best use of your time. And part 5, what getting strong actually feels like. Now, here's the part most people need to hear, because when someone feels broken, they often can't imagine feeling much better. It's hard to look ahead into the future and see a time or a place where you're going to have overcome that feeling. If you've been sore for so long, if your back's been bothering you for so long, it's really hard to remember what it was like before you had a sore back. But then once your sore back goes, you can't remember having a sore back. It's like a distant memory. But if you've been unfit for so long, that's just how you feel, and you can't even imagine feeling what it's like to be fit, whether you're being fit again or getting fit for the first time. And if you're low energy for so long, you just assume that that's part of being an adult and being over 40. But when people start doing the right things consistently, that's when the changes become massive. It doesn't happen overnight, as we said. It doesn't happen magically. It does take time, and that's one of the frustrating things for people if they do a program for like 2 weeks and suddenly they don't feel like this hasn't changed anything yet. 2 weeks is nothing. If you spent 10 years sitting in your bum doing nothing, 2 weeks is nothing. It takes time, but if you're steady, you're consistent, the rewards will be fantastic. Getting stronger again, it can mean that your back doesn't feel as fragile. It can mean that you feel more capable, your knees feel more supported, you have more energy in the mornings and the evenings, you don't dread taking the stairs, you can lift things without panicking, without, oh no, is my back gonna go? You sleep better, you stand taller, your posture's better, you feel more capable, not just physically, your clothes fit better, you feel less breathless, and you just feel like yourself again. You feel confident in yourself. And that's what people, I think, are really after, not weight loss. Weight loss is great if you're really overweight and that's your biggest priority. You'll move better, you'll feel better, but not necessarily just a number in the scales either. If you just focus on the number in the scales, you're going to be disappointed, because if you put on muscle, guess what? It's going to offset the fat that you lose, and then the scales aren't going to be budging that much. But your body composition is changing. Your body is changing how it looks. Just burning calories should not be the main target either. If you can do that and turn into like a shriveled raisin, and that's not going to be a great look, I can tell you. A lot of people just want to feel good in their body again. They want to trust their body again, and they want to stop feeling old before their time. You don't want to be 50 and feel like you're 70. You don't want to be 70 and feel like you're 90. You don't want to be 90 and feel like you're 110, whatever that feels like. But I think it's possible for far more people than we currently believe it. I think a lot of people are writing themselves off long before their time. What we would say to somebody who feels this way, if this has resonated with you, if you're feeling like this, if you're listening and thinking, that's me, I feel broken, I feel stiff, I feel tired, I feel weak, and I feel out of shape. Here's what I would say. First of all, don't panic. Don't write yourself off. You don't need to become an athlete overnight. No one's asking you to become an athlete. No one's asking you to train like an athlete either. Not a coffee break. You don't need to train 6 days a week either. That's one of the other big misconceptions, that you see someone who's really fit and really in shape and they're training 6 days a week. Efficiency matters. If you can train 2 or 3 times a week really efficiently, that's even better. You don't need to become obsessed either. You don't need to make it the central part of your life. It is important to prioritise it, but it doesn't have to be your identity, as it happens to some people. You don't need to punish yourself for the last 10 years and think, I need to make up for lost time, I need to pay my penance. You just need to start rebuilding. You just need to start doing the basics and doing them consistently, and in a few months you will feel and notice the difference. Start where you are with what you've got, do what you can, lift sensibly, move more, sleep better, sleep more consistently, sleep for longer, and repeat. It's not even becoming perfect. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's going to get it right every single day. You are basically just trying to feel and become stronger, healthier, more capable than you are currently. And that matters. Every day is a stepping stone. And the other point is the alternative is not neutral. So if you just don't do anything, you're not going to stay the same. Weakness is going to become more weak. Inactivity is going to lead to more inactivity. Low confidence becomes avoidance. So you're not going to try and do things as much, and that's going to lead to decline. There is no homeostasis. You will start going backwards if you don't do something about it. So don't wait until things are catastrophic. Don't wait until they're beyond the point of return. Don't wait until a doctor scares you. Don't wait until maybe you have a fall and you can't get up properly. Don't wait until every joint in your body is inflamed and sore and achy. Don't wait until another year passes and you feel even worse than last year. Start now, even if it's small, even if it's imperfect, even if you don't feel very confident. Just start. And the last piece I want to talk about, near the last piece, I keep saying the last piece, we've got so much to discuss. Here's the part that a lot of people maybe need to hear, but they don't want to hear it. A lot of people are hoping to feel better without changing anything. They just hope one day they'll wake up and they'll feel better. They want more energy, but they're sleeping badly. They want to lose fat, but they're still eating rubbish. They want less pain, but they won't move enough or mobilize their joints. They want to feel strong, but they won't strength train. They want confidence, but they keep avoiding the things that would rebuild that confidence. And I get it. It's hard. It's uncomfortable. Change isn't pleasant. Change is uncomfortable. Life's busy. Everyone's got pressures. But at some point we have to stop acting surprised whenever our body responds to what we repeatedly do or don't do. You can't live like a tired, stressed, sedentary, under-muscled, poorly fed adult and expect to feel amazing. That's just what you put in is what you're going to get out. That's not how it works. The body adapts. The good news is also it adapts in the other direction. So if you don't give it any stimulus to adapt to, it's going to decline. As I said, homeostasis is not what happens. You decline or you ascend. Staying the same, even on the micro level, it might look like you're staying the same, but on the micro level, you'll notice that that's not the case. If you feed your body better, train it properly, rest properly, and challenge it consistently, it will improve. Everything will improve. That's the hopeful bit. That's the bit that's amazing. And that's the case whether you're in your teens or whether you're in your 90s. The body's ability to adapt is phenomenal. And it's more responsive than you think. It's incredible when you see people in their 50s, 60s and 70s putting on muscle whenever they didn't think it was possible. And it's not dramatic. It does take time, as I keep saying. The big picture. This is the bigger picture. This is bigger than looking better whenever you take your top off when you go on holidays. Lots of people this time of year in March, people are thinking of going on holidays. They're thinking of booking a holiday and they're feeling a little bit nervous, a little bit self-conscious maybe about their bodies. And there's nothing wrong wanting to look better. That's fine. It's a motivation for some people. But what I'm talking about is much bigger than that. It's much more important than that, and it's about the quality of life. It's about function. There's no point in aiming to look better if you're still got some sort of chronic illness that can be prevented, or you're not even strong enough to carry your children, or you can't get up downstairs. It's about whether you can carry your children. It's about keeping up with your grandchildren, traveling unassisted, staying independent, remaining useful to help other people, avoiding becoming fragile, maintaining confidence, and keep doing the things that you enjoy doing and you used to enjoy doing, but you stopped because you became frail. Strength training matters because life is physical. We talked about this earlier. Even modern life, office life, parent life, retirement, even in our modern world where everything's so digitalized and automated, we still need our physicality to express ourselves. Life keeps asking us physical questions. Can you lift this? Can you carry that? Can you climb those stairs? Can you get up off the floor? Can you catch yourself? Can you balance? Can you cope physically whenever things go wrong? And if the answer to those those questions start with not really, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure, then life suddenly gets smaller, you've less freedom, and that's what I want people to avoid. So I've talked way too long, but to wrap this up, if you feel that you're broken in your 40s, 50s or beyond, don't automatically assume it's just your age. Maybe age is part of it, fair enough, but a lot of people call aging, what they call aging is really a loss of muscle, a lack of movement, poor sleep, poor nutrition, too much stress, not enough strength work, and years of following terrible fitness advice. The good news is that a lot of this is reversible. I've seen it reversed, and it's not only reversible, you can massively improve things even if you don't fully reverse it. You can get stronger, you can start to move better, you can start to feel better, and you can rebuild confidence, you can improve your body composition, and you can become capable again. But it usually starts with telling the truth to yourself. Not I'm too old, or I'm just broken, or I just need motivation. Not I'll start when life calms down. Just the truth. I need to get stronger. Accept that. I need a better plan. I need to stop avoiding this. I need to start acting like my health matters, because it does. And you're not too old to start. As I said, there's people in their 70s who've recently started with me, which has been amazing. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if somebody you know feels like, you know, their body's going backwards over the last few years, let this be the nudge for you or them. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to start perfect. You just need to start. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to train today so you can be stronger tomorrow.